Hi, this is Sean from Cycle News, and got a really cool opportunity to visit Stark. I was actually over here for some other stuff in Barcelona, Spain. I got to meet Ben, who 5 years ago, I think, we did a Zoom call with Anton, the founder.
Yep.
He introduced what Stark was to me, and I told Ben earlier, I remember thinking, okay, here's a company that'll probably be gone in a couple of years. Got to come here and walk around and see what this Stark motorcycle has become. I think it's at about 400 employees now. Very impressive. I mean, the offices are here behind us, and to see like the technology and the things that are going on here. We did a review on the EX recently. Ryan Nitzen, our off-road editor, got to do the original review on the motocross bike. But to see what's come along, you know, and where this company is 5 years later is pretty amazing.
ASV Inventions now has levers for the Stark Varg's Brembo brake system in their C6, F4, and F2 options. Whether you're looking for a CNC'd lever or a forged design, all of ASV's unbreakable levers come with an adjustable range to truly dial in your rider cockpit. ASV levers are made in the USA and are completely rebuildable along with a standard manufacturer warranty. With over 25 years of experience, it's no surprise to see why so many professional teams like Progressive Suzuki, Tortelli Ducati, Club MX, and more are making the switch over to ASV. Like they say, if you want a guarantee, go see ASV. Now let's get back into the video.
I want to talk, Ben, with you a few highlights. I mean, we got to walk through the factory where the bikes are being assembled. We couldn't show behind the scenes much.
No, unfortunately. But, well, first, it's great to have you.
Yep.
Finally, we managed to have Cycle News here. In 2022, when Ryan actually came for the global press launch, he actually went in front of this building. And, well, to see where we actually, where we are now. We were about 2 minutes down the road when you and I first started talking, and we were in the very, let's say, the footprint wasn't exactly ideal. But yeah, when we came out on the 14th of December, we had sold our entire production plan. So we basically saw that the interest was there, that we needed to move to a different location, very, well, bigger location. So now we're in a 20,000 meter square factory. We have solar panels throughout the roof, which obviously contributes to our sustainability policy. And then moving on, we have all of our production area downstairs, warehouse, where we receive all of our parts, which can then be either stored in the warehouse area, or we have our generic spare parts warehouse, which goes to all of our end consumers, or over the 500 dealerships that we have worldwide. We have 3 locations right now worldwide, where we have in US, we have a warehouse, UK, and also in Australia. But everything which is Stark related, Stark produced, is produced here and then sent out to those warehouses. So yeah, the 20,000 meter square factory right now has everything downstairs production-wise. We have our motorcycle production line. We have also our battery production line, which is obviously one of the main factors of our IP. We build our own batteries right here downstairs in Barcelona.
Yeah, and we weren't allowed to show any behind the scenes video of that. I think we got to take a video of the sign, and that was about it. But I got to see the process, and I have to say it's pretty impressive, the technology that's behind the assembly of the batteries and the testing that goes into it was pretty amazing. We've seen the performance of the bikes. We're seeing that, you know, we saw bike number 1 at the far end of the offices here.
VIN 00.
And then we saw bike number 10,000.
Yes.
which numbered, which was super cool to see. And it's been really impressive for us to just see the progress. The racing side, we're going to actually have Sebastian Tortelli hop in here and chat a little about what's going on the racing side as well. But Manufacturer of the Year in Super Enduro, which is pretty impressive. Some top level results. Of course, it's debatable about how, you know, some of the racing organizations, the AMA for us in the US and things, you know, as far as they're not really being allowed to compete so far in most cases. But I think the important part to me, like just as I don't compete and race anymore, but as far as having an EX and going riding, I think it was one of the funnest, most capable off-road motorcycles I've ever, you know, ridden. I think a lot of people find that when you get the opportunity to try them, they're pretty amazing. So yeah, it's really cool to see kind of what's happened with this company in such a short period of time. I think that it's going to continue to go on from here. So, like I said, we'll share a little bit of behind the scenes on the racing side with Seb. And I guess anything else, Ben, that you want to kind of
No, just touching base from the production side of things downstairs. We have obviously all of this office space. Well, we have the finance area, then we have commercial, then we have support. The support team that we have here basically takes care of the rest of the world, because we have 2 people in the US, 1 person in Australia, and the guys that we have here take care of everyone else. If we move all the way down to the far side, we have everything from technological disciplines of hypercar, supercar, obviously. Those are going to be for high-profiled, or let's say future models.
Yep.
But all of that technology that we have over there, simulation, hardware, software optimization, chassis optimization. I think there are around 130 people right now. And when we first entered this building, I think they were all of 20. So
yeah, it's really impressive to see.
The evolution is going quite fast. Yeah.
So one of the cool things we got to see behind the scenes here at Stark was Sebastian Tortelli, 96 125 motocross world champion, 98 250 motocross world champion. I just told him I got to see him win the Coliseum Supercross when he came over on a Kawasaki. Super cool. So super cool to see him. I know I wanted to talk to you really quickly about, you joined Stark, I think initially in R&D, but then now you've helped build a racing program. Maybe just give us a quick little...
Yeah, no, the first call from Anton was definitely, for R&D. The bike, I saw it on paper first, and then we were talking, he's like, well, I want to do a 450. I'm like, I'm in. I love the idea of, building a bike that is raceable and that is really, a true motorcycle from what I knew.
Yeah.
And then from there we started to change a little bit the plastic and the geometry of the bike, and we developed, and I developed with them, and I spent a lot of hours on testing as far as chassis and engine and how to develop the bike the best way to fit.
And this was before it was to the public, right? This was in the very initial development stage.
Before it was the prototype, and we had like 2-3 bikes only to be able to go through the stuff, and I think we were like 10 engineers. The first battery it took us like, I think 2 days to build the first battery, because it was all soldered by hands, and when you have 400 cells, that's a lot of soldering that you do out there.
Yeah.
So it was, the first was really impressive, because I jumped on the bike, and we were at the test track, and I go for a couple laps, and I come back, and the guy's like, hey, how is it? And I'm like, well, it's good. And he's like, but how good? And I'm like, I mean, it's really good. For the first gate, the bike was really well born. So after basically we kept, actually everything was basically the same. And then I just started tweaking some things here and there to make it more raceable and more friendly to customers.
Yep. And then now your role has changed. You helped develop the bike to begin with, and now your role has changed to creating a race team for Stark. You guys have had some success already. I know one of the biggest things is challenges of getting in and being allowed to race against combustion engine bikes. But in those cases where you have, there's been some success with an arena cross championship initially in the UK. And then now the manufacturers championship in Super Enduro this year, FIM Super Enduro. So some pretty impressive results, some podiums for your guys actually in that series. I helped organize the Tennessee Knockout event. We had Eddie Carlson came over last year. He finished, I believe it was 7th, even though he crashed on the first lap in the main event. Probably could have been top 5. But it's cool to see they're competing at the highest level though. And like I said before, competing at the highest level, but also really good for a 50-plus-year-old guy like me to have fun. They're working in both sides.
No, the goal is definitely why racing? I mean, racing is the best way to get aware, for people to know that we are here and actually the bike can perform. So that's very important for us. And, we went and we have been doing many championships now. I mean, we do 4 of the world championships. So we made quite a bit of step forward. And the entry is not always easy. I mean, definitely, there's a lot of talk and negotiation to be able to get it there. And sometimes we have to, push a little bit hard, and then we get there. But we've been happy because we can show that we are part of the sport, and that was important for us. To be able to compete and be able to be at the same level as the best guys. And that's what we delivered. And the feeling for us is enduro has been amazing because, you know, the adoption has been super big on enduro, more than motocross, because of the facility that we don't have the noise.
Yeah.
And the noise, you can go almost anywhere. And that was a big thing for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of people reacted and responded to that. And today, when, you know, we go with guys like Eddie or Toby, you know, they race and they see the capability of the bike and the way the bike is adjustable, where we tune the power down to get more traction, and all this makes a full, complete bike that is adaptable to younger guys, older guys, and guys who want to race hard or who want to go there for leisure. And that's the big thing. I think that's the most important for us, was having that possibility for people to adapt to the bike the way they want it. Not to be the guy adapting to the bike, but the bike adapting to them.
Yeah. Well, it's very cool to see. Awesome to have somebody with your experience playing such a big role in developing this bike. And you're one of, I think, about 400 people now.
I still jump on the saddle quite a bit. So
yeah, so
we're
it's
still progressing.
Like I said, you're one of 400 people now, which is pretty amazing to see what's happening. And but very cool, like I said, to have somebody with your experience playing such a vital role here and see some of the racing success. But like you said, something that trickles out to people like myself that can enjoy it and have a lot of fun with.
That's the best part.
Yeah. So, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you for the visit.
Yes.